This is Gemara Sanhedrin, Daf Beis Baruch Hashem. We once again begin a journey, a new Masechta, a new Limud. Absolutely incredible. Starting after such an incredibly long Masechta Bava Basra, to start a new Masechta, Baruch Hashem. And always the bracha that we begin with at the same vigor and excitement and enthusiasm as we have when we begin a new Masechta should continue, carry us through B'siyata Dishmaya all the way till the conclusion. And once again, we'd like to dedicate today's shir as an incredible schos refuah shlema for Tinok ben Miriam Ahuva. B'siyata Dishmaya, we should continue to see the most miraculous Kayach HaTorah, Talmud Torah Keneged Rabim, Torah B'Rabim, B'siyata Dishmaya, the continued learning should bring Tinok ben Miriam Ahuva an incredible and complete refuah shalema. So we begin in Gemara Sanhedrin, Daf Beis, and we begin with the title Dinei Mamanis Bishleish. Monetary cases are judged bishleisha, 3 dayanim, and really we're going to begin with a very lengthy Mishnah, almost more than the whole first Amid. And the Mishnah is going to discuss many different cases and how many dayanim, how many judges you need per case. Do you need 3? Do you need 21? Do we need a Bezdin Sanhedrin Agadol of 72, which we will get to? So begins the Mishnah that classical monetary cases have to be shleisha dayanim. Gizilois v'chavaloi, someone steals or someone damages, bishleisha. Nezik v'chatzi, nezik tashlumi kifel v'tashlumi dalad v'hei, all the different payments for damages, bishleisha. 3 dayanim. Ha'in nezam v'vatav ha'moti shemra, bishleisha devira meir. So Meir says, someone who forces someone to have relations. Mifata, someone seduces. Ha'moti shemra, someone who claims, defiles, defames. He claims his wife didn't have the sulim, that she was mizana tachtav. All these cases, Bishleisha. Chachamim Mimrim, no. Moitzi Shemra be'esrim Bishleisha. Say the Chachamim Moitzi Shemra must be judged with 23 dayanim. Why? Says the Mishnah, Mipnei sheyesh by Dinei Nefashes. The reason being, say the Chachamim, because Moitzi Shemra involves Dinei Nefashes, capital cases. The Gemara is going to delve a bit deeper exactly what this means. Continue. Well, we'll just look at Rashi just to bring us back. We have a Rebbe Rashi back with us. Says Rashi 8 lines into the narrow lines. What did this guy claim? He claimed his wife was mizana. Let's say she was. The halach is beskila. So because there's an element of dinei nefashais, and Rashi says, we're going to see on Daf Tezvav that dinei nefashais, capital crimes, require 23 dayanim. Say the Chachamim, the same thing is true by Moitzi Shemra. Continues the Mishnah, Makois Bishleisha. Mishum Rav Yishmael Imru be'esrim Bishleisha. Makois, you want to know if someone is Chayim Malkis, you need 3. Rav Yishmael Imru, no, that's a form of dinei nefashais. That's a form of physical payment of capital crimes, and therefore you need 23. Continues the Mishnah, Ibor HaChodesh, to create a leap a month, Bishleisha 3. Ibor HaShana Bishleisha Divra Meir. Rashba Goimer says in Shimon Gamliel, in the last line of the Mishnah, Bishleisha, Matzchilen Ubachamisha Noisim V'Noisten V'Goimrim B'Shiva V'Mgamrim V'Gimel Mu'ubaris. Say Rav Shbag, an interesting middle level, that to begin a case, whether we're going to create a leap month, Bishleisha Maschilin, but then when they discuss it, you need 5. They conclude it with 7, but if they conclude it with 3, it will work as well. Continues the Mishnah on the first white line, Smichas Sekenim, giving over smicha of the elders, literally, Va'arifas Egla Arufa, and when it comes to the decapitating of the Egla Arufa, Bishleisha, Divrei Rabbi Shimon, these are words of Rabbi Shimon. Rav Yehuda Omer b'chamisha, Chalitza miyunim, continues the Mishnah, more cases when it comes to Chalitza, someone who doesn't want to marry the brother of the deceased, a woman that is, v'amiyunin, someone who walks out of the marriage, a kitana v'shleisha. Neter avai, the fourth year produce, or meiser sheni sheidavi, you do it, you don't know the exact value, b'shleisha. Ha'ekdeshais b'shleisha, to considering the value of consecrated items, how do you praise them, b'shleisha? Ha'erchen, to consider the value of a person. If he makes an irach vow, he's going to give his valuation to the bezdin. Ha'irach ha'metaltalin, if you're evaluating in a metaltalin, then it is b'shleisha. Rabbi Yehuda Omer echad me'em kayin. Rabbi Yehuda says one of the three must be a kayin. V'karkais, but if you're dividing karka tisha v'kayin niten, v'ad tisha v'kayin. V'adam ki yaitz b'hem, it says the Mishnah, likewise a person, if you're evaluating the value of a person, of an adam, you as well need 10. Continues the Mishnah, din nefashais b'asim v'shleisha, capital crimes need 23. Harevea v'hanirva, someone who sodomizes an animal, someone who has relationships with an animal. Harevea v'hanirva b'asim v'shleisha. Shenema v'rakti zeisha v'esabehema v'omer v'esabehema ta'arayu. So we see the equation between the two, and therefore you need 23. Shar aniskal, 2. Stone and kill an ox, b'asim v'shleisha. Shenema shayis hakel v'gam ba'alav, you must. Kim misas habaylim, just like if the owner had to be killed, kach misas shar, and therefore needs 23. Hazei v'ari v'adai v'nemer v'bardalis, a wolf, a lion, a bear, a leopard, bardalis, or v'anachash misasam b'asim v'shleisha, to convict them of being damagers. Rav Eliezer Omer kolakodil hargin zacha. No, says Rav Eliezer, these items are damages to society, and therefore whoever comes first to kill them is Zaycharek. Misasam ve'esrim v'shleisha. And now we're up to the 2 dots, smack in the middle of the very wide lines. And we've discussed creating Batei Dinim of 3 all the way to 23. Says the Mishnah, what about the Sanhedrin Agad? Ein Nadanin lo yisashevev lo yisenavi ashekev lo yisekoin gadol ela al pi bezdin shal shevim v'yechad. That's when you need the Sanhedrin Gedailah of 71. You don't go out to Milchemes or Rishos, the discretionary war. I'll be bezdin shal shevim only if you have 71. Ein ma'isiv al ir, you cannot add on to a city of Lazara. I'll be bezdin shal shevim echad. Shivim v'achal, excuse me. Einois is Sanhedrios l'shvatim. Continues the Mishnah. They don't find tribes to l'shvatim. Einois in Irani dachas. You cannot convict the city of being of the desire. I'll be better shal shemechad. Einois in Irani dachas bisvar. You cannot create a bordering a port city as an Irani dachas. V'loy shalosh. Nor 3 of them. You could do 1 or 2. Sanhedrin Gedailah shal shevim v'yechad, says the Mishnah. Sanhedrin Gedailah, 71 members. Uketana shal esrim v'shleisha. And the bezdin Ketana, Sanhedrin Ketana, needs 23. Minayin the Gedol Shishalam Shamvach says, where do we know this from? Where do we know that a Bezdin Agadol requires 71 Shenamar, a line to the bottom? Says the Pasek, Asu li Shivim Ish Mizikne Yisrael. Says Moshe Rabbeinu, gather for me together 70 Shivim Ish Mizikne Yisrael. Oh, Moshe al Gabein! And Moshe is on top of them, equaling 71. The first shita, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, no, Shivim, you need just 70. Uminayin the ketana shisha lesim v'shalisha. And how do you know a bezdin, a smaller Sanhedrin, the lower number is 23? Shenemar. Now we move on to another pasuk in later on in Bamidbar. Says the Torah of Shafto Eida v'Tzilu Eida. Eida shayfetas ve'Eida matzelas. The Eidah is that judges, and the Eidah is that saves. Harekan Esrim, because an Eidah's minimum size of a minute is 10. So 10 to judge, 10 to save is 20. it says the Gemara interjects for a moment, but 1 second. How do you know that detail? 4 lines to the bottom that an Eida is 10. Shenemar Hamasel Eida Razais. Yatsi Yeshuv Kalev, and Yeshuv Kalev were not part of the Miraglim, so you get 10. So now we know there's 20, 2 Eidas, 10 and 10. Says the Gemara, how do you know Eida's 10? You know for the Miraglim because we take all Yeshuv Kalev. Now, how do we add on the final 3 to get 23? Says the Gemara, says the pasuk that we should not go after the majority to harm to kavek shemei ani. From here we know shehei imahem l'taiva, that the majority should come l'taiva. Imkain, if that's true, lamin emachri rabim lahatis loikat ascha l'taiva. Says the Gemara, what does it mean? Achei rabim lahatis loy ba'atascha l'taiva hatascha l'ra. Not like you're tilting l'taiva, doesn't mean tilting l'ra. Hatascha l'taiva al bi'echad, hatascha l'ra al bi'shnayim. You need a majority, and therefore, says the Mishnah, as we turn over to Beizim and Beis, with the fact that we have a lima, that the only way to equate is going to be if you have an odd number. Therefore, says the Mishnah, as we turn over to Beizim and Beis, Vein Bezin Shakel, and you cannot have an even Bezin, and therefore, so it's 20, 2 Eidas, plus 2, plus 1 more. But Sanhedrin says that the Mishnah, how many people should be in a city for it to be Roi? For a Sanhedrin, says the Mishnah, Meya, the Esrim 120. From the Chemya Aimer, Matayim Ushleishim 230, Keneged, Sari Arasais, Keneged the Sari Arasais. We find in the Torah discusses that the officers of 10, the Sari Arasais, and therefore, if you want such, you need 230 people in the city. Says the Gemara, we began the Mishnah, we began the Masechta, and it dealt with Dinei Mamanis, as the title itself teaches. Dinei Mamanis is Bishleish. Says the Gemara, to Gzilas v'chavolos lav Dinei Mamanis tinu. Says the Gemara, I don't understand. Dinei Mamanis, we started off and said that it's Bishleisha, but then it lists what? Gezela. Then it lists Chavala. And what does the Mishnah say? That they're separate cases, Ninu. Amar Avavua Mahein Katani. The Mishnah has to be read a little bit different. The Mishnah is not giving examples, rather teaching what are those cases. And this is how you learn the Mishnah. Mahein Dinei Mamanis. What are the cases of Dinei Mamanis? Gives Chavalos. Avloi dois v'halvayos loi. When it comes to admitting or alone, it is not the same. So says the Gemara, in classically it's Tzricha, we have to give both cases for halvais and haidois. I would have thought that even includes borrowing and lending. I would have thought I think done exil. So why did the Torah exil the chavalos? Because the ikr gimel tersivi v'gzilos v'chavalos. Because the ikr 3 psukim are talking about stealing and inflicting bodily damage. Where do we see this ksivi gzilos? The pasuk says dersev nikra valabhais elohim chavalos mali chaval begufay mali bechaval b'maynai. You could steal someone's money. You could inflict them bodily harm. There's some chavala. Tanamai nedine mamanis. Says the Gemara, so therefore the Tana taught both, and then he said, what is Mahein Dine Mamanis? That you need these 3 dayanim, and that's the progression, that's a shikol like Chasure Mechsera. As the Gemara comes to fill in the blanks of the Mishnah. Continues the Gemara, Ulamai. Now that we've established that we need 3 dayanim in many cases, Ulamai, what are they coming to say? If you're going to tell me that you do not require 3, the din is nothing. Ella, the din is nothing. Why? Because they don't have 3. So says the Gemara, Ella, you know what it means? All it means that we don't need a bezdin mumchen. A regular bezdin will be fine. Mike Savar, Ira Parshis Kasav Kan, Libayna Mumchen. If you mix the Torah together, Ira Parshis, multiple psukim, then you're going to need what? Kan Libayna Mumchen, a bezdin mumchen. Because every Ira Parshis Kasav Kan, Shalosh Lamali. So why do you need 3 dayanim at all? So answers the Gemara, when this we conclude 4 lines to the bottom, 5 lines to the bottom, only consider Parshas Kasav Kan. Yes, the Torah is all mixed up. Really, you're right. You need bezdin mumchen. Who's Rav Chanina? Rav Chanina Dvar Torah. Echadin imam is echadin levashes b'drisha v'chakira. That's all that suffices. No need for eidim. Shenamar mishan echad yelachem. Umatan amru din imam zlabino drisha v'chakir. They still tell us with they love, and as we saw in the previous daf of Gemara Basra, this is a first cousin to Shibud Daraisa. Shibud Alav Daraisa. Now, when it comes to din imam, is why don't you need drisha v'chakira? Because if you need such credible questions, no one's ever going to lend money. That's the reason why you do not. And we conclude says, what do you mean? So now you're going to let any Joe Shmo, any Dayan, to create a case of Dine Mamanis. What do you mean? They're going to make a mistake, and then they're not going to be chayiv, and then they're not going to go and lend, answers the Gemara, by saying that they are not chayiv, the dayan is not chayiv, you certainly will push away the person from lending the money, and that's what we want to avoid. Stop over here, we'll pick it up from here, b'siyata dishmaya.